I'm so happy to have back on this show Sonja Feintech.
Yes.
I just did that like 4 times, but
Yes.
we're gonna keep this one
Yeah,
in.
this is great.
I don't know why it's like I kept reading your name, and you've been on the show, and we're friends and stuff, and my brain's just not working this
I'm
morning.
really I'm really
But
proud of you. I
it's
think you might be the first person that's actually introduced me correctly.
okay. Well,
So,
I'm glad I nailed it at least once. I kept looking at this and I kept thinking Sony. Does anyone
yeah,
ever call you Sony?
it happens. Yeah, all sorts of
But
versions of my name.
yeah, welcome back. I think this is really cool because like last time we were talking about butchery and all this farm
Yeah.
life stuff, and I've been going to the Multnomah County Libertarian meetings kind of off and on for a while, and like you're now the chair of the whole state, which I
Yes.
think is awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
I think that you're just like a good. It seems like a good fit for that role. Is that kind of how you feel like embracing it?
I'm embracing it. So there's
Okay.
a funny thing that happens when you are elected vice chair. Sometimes that means you end up becoming chair, which is what happened in my case.
Okay.
Um, maybe like 5 years ago, I would have jumped at the opportunity to be in a leadership position. And the fact that I hesitated now, because I think of myself as a little wiser and older, so I'm not willing to spread myself thin, especially on things that are really, really important and take a lot of time and care and are valuable. I was a little more tentative to get into it, but kind of being pushed into something, I think sometimes means you're the best person for it. So
Yeah.
I'm excited about the opportunity now.
Well, yeah, I don't know what it like every time I talk to you about politics and the party and stuff, I don't know, you just seem to have such a good like antenna for what's going on in the country and the state and everything. And I'm not trying to make this sound weird, but I always say like I just said this on the last live thing I did that Oregon has this weird thing of like they almost like leaders need to be women. I don't know if that
That's so
reflects
funny.
with you,
That's
but
so funny because that's the opposite of what I said. Actually, the own executive committee was uh, making fun of me a little bit when I became Madam Chair because I've always had a thing where I say I don't really know if women should be chairs. Like I don't know if women should. I'm a little sexist. I don't know if we should be in leadership positions just because not that women can't do it, but there is you do have to overcome a bunch of obstacles that are
mm,
just kind of it's a huge time suck. And
mm.
when I could just let a guy do that, he doesn't have to overcome those obstacles and gets the same things done. And so now I'm in this position. So I don't, so now maybe I agree with you, but it's just funny because in the past I've always said this thing until, of course, it happens to me. And I'm like, well, of course I should be in this
Yeah,
position.
and I'm not even saying like ethically. It's just weird. I feel like the people of Oregon, like I'm always usually talking about governor, but it's like they just won't accept like male nominees anymore. But I think it's like in a weird way it works out, I think, because like for leadership, it offers a lot of opportunities, not just for your thing, which, I don't know if that applies, but like I just think it's cool and interesting.
Yeah.
And it is maybe a bit misandrist, but anyway, yeah, I just think it's really cool that you're in that. I do want to bring up because it's like this is going to come out a couple days before Thanksgiving, some Thanksgiving stuff, and I feel like you're perfect to ask questions about like birds and stuff. But I'll ask that later because
Okay.
we get through all the political stuff. So stay tuned for that later. And you guys, if you want to put your favorite Thanksgiving, what do you call it, side, put that in the comments. I just go with like the mashed potatoes and rolls. I think I don't know.
Are those sides though? I feel like that's an essential
Yeah,
component.
yeah.
Like if you can't have turkey without having mashed potatoes
Yeah, it's
or
debatable. We'll
gravy.
get into it
Okay.
later.
All right. I'll be ready for that.
Yeah. So I'm just curious, like your take now that you're kind of leading Oregon with the party. What's your take on like the state of the party in the state and as a whole? I feel like it's got a healthy refresh over the past few years, and it's kind of maybe had a bad reputation before that, but I feel like it has a lot of legs now, and there's a lot of national leadership and people championing the ideas of libertarianism. But I'm just curious, like where do you think it's at?
Uh, yeah, I think we're definitely at a precipice of a refresh. We do have our national convention at the end of May
Okay.
2026 in Grand Rapids. So a lot of things will happen after that convention and leadership changes and whatever happens with our current caucus wars and if we can get along which is always fun.
That's what I always hear about. Is like there's a lot of infighting. They can't really settle on the values and that kind of thing.
Right, which is it's really endemic in every party. You
Hmm.
Democrats are, I think, the best at hiding it. That's why all this stuff that happened with Kamala getting chosen last year, you got to like a little peek behind the curtain and see that, oh, you guys aren't like super unified all the time. But
Hmm.
the Republicans have their own, caucus wars, and so the Libertarians, and it's nothing new. It's just tedious, and
Yeah.
especially when you want to just make things happen. So here in Oregon, we're actually really blessed that we have a very cohesive
Hmm.
party. Our board, we have a great board that gets along really well. Different caucuses, I'm with the Mises caucus, but we also have half of us are not members of that
Okay.
caucus.
And
But
what is that? What is that caucus?
the Mises Caucus is so their whole thing is Project Take Human Action and Project Decentralized Revolution. So basically, instead of focusing on trying to make the Libertarian Party something that can compete on the same level as the duopoly, and trying to push fundraising measures that way and running for like congressional seats and these big state uh, Congress seats,
Hmm.
we're focused more on winnable races, small, non-affiliated races, city councils, things like that, things that we can win
Hmm.
and make an impact in the local area, and also being able to work in coalition build with the other parties, mainly um, working with one that is far more aligned with us, which is usually the conservatives or the Republican Party, not shying away from that. And yeah, as far as gains for Libertarian Party nationally and in the state, during this last election cycle, I think it was a big boost for libertarianism, because I was hearing libertarian ideology repeated throughout the news cycle and the mainstream. People were, even Trump at one point was talking about getting rid of the federal income tax. He just like threw it out there
Hmm.
like nonchalantly. And I was like, anytime you say something that gets injected into the blueprint of America, and it's a libertarian thing, that's amazing. Like all of a sudden people are like, oh, you can get that's an option? I
Hmm.
never thought about that before. So for me, there was a lot of wins as far as libertarian ideology kind of infecting the mainstream for the first time and people really responding to it. Anytime something like that came up, people responded very, very favorably, which I think has an effect on influencing the current duopoly of them being like, oh, we kind of have to maybe bend a little more in this direction
Right.
because this is what the people are voting for, this is what they want.
Hmm. Yeah, I think last time we were talking to you mentioned like yeah, like no tax on tips. I don't know where that originated with or but like I
Yeah.
policy like that is really that's one of the reasons I think there's a lot more attention and interest in the party is because the way I look at it and the way I try to explain it to people is like it's all about affordability. And even this week with like this weird meeting with like Trump and Mom Donnie,
Yeah.
it's like this everyone's trying to capture young people who just want things to be affordable. And I think the Libertarian Party has a great kind of in with that because they're all about very little or no taxes at all, and like personal income and personal liberty. And maybe that's just my take, but it just seems like that's a great approach and there's a lot of interest in it. And also there's this kind of appeal of like the politically homeless. I bring it up all the time,
Hmm.
and like everyone's kind of welcome.
Yeah.
Is the philosophy that I've seen with the party. So,
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. I do think that we appeal to younger people. We are really trying to focus more on housing affordability and grocery bills and gas and things
hmm.
like that, which obviously, people are pretty tired of identity politics. At the end of the day, they're just looking around being like, can I feed my family? Like my rent is going
Right.
up, everything's getting more expensive. It's $6 for a coffee. What's
Yeah.
happening?
Will I ever own a home? Probably not.
Yeah,
Like,
like,
yeah.
oh, single family home, $600,000
Mm.
starting. Like, so those are the things that people actually care about. And I think that libertarians have a really great answer for that because of our approach to taxation. But sometimes we get a little lost in the weeds because we also would like to create enough personal responsibility and self-sovereignty where you're not depending on a welfare
Sure.
state. So a lot of our sometimes I feel like we get criticized a little bit because we want to get rid of that welfare state so much that it could be a little dismissive of people's needs right now, which
Mm.
is what I think the honing of the libertarian message is now, is just staying relevant to the moment. Like, yes, we have our utopia idea over here, which is, we're not getting government subsidies for all these things. People are able to afford their groceries, and deregulate the market, make everything more affordable, lower taxes. But that way you can like pay for your single payer health care and not have a state funded healthcare
Right,
that's
right.
garbage. But we're
Mm.
not there. When you just try and jump over all of these barriers, people end up suffering, and your message gets very, very lost. You seem cold.
Yeah. No,
So
it seems like a real, yeah, intelligent way to approach it because it's like a lot of these safety nets, there's, people I say the most vulnerable people need them. But like I can see, yeah, that as a transition point to get to this more self-sustaining kind of
right.
way of life for a lot of people, and especially younger people. I think they really like that. Like, I don't know, it's maybe not a huge portion of the population, but there are some younger people who like don't want like the cell phones and like the
Hmm.
kind of attached digital life that comes with a lot of the identity politics stuff that we talked about. And I think part of that is being more self-sufficient. And I'm not like the greatest example because I don't do any of this, but like doing your own gardening and having like your own food supply and that kind of thing. And
Right.
so getting away from the like, I'm going to be supplied with all this and just do it myself kind of thing. And
Right. And how do you promote and encourage culture in that direction? Because ultimately, um, that's going to promote better security for everyone.
mm,
But you can't just be up in your high horse and tell everyone, "All right, that's what you're going to do now. We're going to take away
right.
all the subsidized milk. Milk is actually going to be $24 now in the grocery store because that's the actual cost of milk." But it's the right thing to do. Like, people are not. That's not a message that's going to win with
Mm,
anybody. So you have to, like, yeah, how do you affect culture um, through politics, while not shifting things so quickly that you pull the rug out from people, and then they're like, "What about us?" No one,
right.
and that's why
Right.
the Democrats usually, here in Oregon at least, kind of have a major leading edge with that, because even though most of the time they're not actually doing anything that they say, and they're totally corrupt and they're mishandling your money, um, they do say the right things. They talk about affordability. They talk about housing, and I think the Republicans are starting to realize, oh, we need to maybe throw a couple bones there too, because that's what people want.
Hmm.
And I think libertarians are in a very special place because we can kind of balance those two things. Like, how do we balance the budget, but also recognize that you shouldn't be out in the cold? There's ways to work things together so that no one's left.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it just seems like to me, it's a more interesting kind of route than because I talk about a long time, the whole like DSA platform is basically get government into everything. They'll provide everything you need. But I think it's more empowering to take this other alternate route where it's like, I'll do that myself and like kind
Right.
of provide for myself so that I'm not dependent all the time on whether it's state or federal or
And
whatever
how
it
do you
is.
set up people to do that in the first place,
Right.
right? How do you help people exit the system in
Hmm.
a way that doesn't like completely like put them, yeah, financially just out?
Right. Yeah, because it's like, I don't know, the way I look at it, at least, it's like eventually or at some point, it's extremely valuable to the individual, but then it's also like really helping the nation
Hmm.
become a more efficient country,
Right.
which is something we really need, but like no one ever deals with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had a couple other things on here about like I just find it to be in this really interesting space, like we're talking about capturing young people a little bit, because it seems like there's this real like pro crypto anti-war aspect that a lot of young people really identify with, and
Yeah.
probably some young people that are disappointed with like a lot of people who thought the GOP would kind of go more in that anti-war direction, but are now kind of like, I don't see that happening. So I just find it interesting that there's like new attachment to those values, and it seems like the Libertarian Party is the only one really coalescing around that.
Yeah.
And the fintech stuff too, it's kind of like your name.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, like crypto, I know so many people like our age and younger that are into that world, and it just seems like that's another, I don't know, avenue of interest for young people that isn't really being addressed. I guess maybe on the right a little bit, but I don't really.
Libertarians are definitely very attached to crypto, because
Yeah,
what is cryptocurrency?
it's a yeah, like the
It's a
individual,
decentralized
right?
currency. We
Yeah,
love that. We love decentralized everything.
right.
Obviously, what is it, CBDCs are of concern.
Those are the government
Yeah. So the government,
coins or whatever.
anything that's good, the government's going to come and try and absorb it, like the Borg. So we do have to watch out for that. But yeah, that there's a huge push, especially within not specifically here in Oregon, but like with the Mises Caucus. I know that that's become a big part of what they're focusing on
Mm.
through the Libertarian Party, through their own pack, is the Bitcoin community. There's a lot of possibilities there. And it's, yeah, you just find you have a lot in alignment. When someone's into Bitcoin, typically they're going to be into other things that are also libertarian. They're not going to want their money taken away. They're going to be questioning the Federal Reserve. And then they're going to be like, why is all of our money going to fund endless war? So then
Mm.
they're a little bit anti-war. And it's kind of this, it's just pulling on that thread and everything
Yeah.
starts
When you have
unraveling.
such a better understanding of your own finance and like
Yeah.
where that's going and how it works, and I don't know, it seems like a good like entry point for people to get into like financial politics, and then that maybe can extend to everything
It's a
else.
huge
And
gateway to everything because
yeah.
then you're like, all right, I'm becoming more fiscally responsible.
Hmm.
Well, is my local government fiscally responsible? And then you're like, oh no, like that bridge should have cost $3 million and instead it
Yeah.
cost 30.
Yeah.
That's weird. And then you start looking at your state and then you start looking at the whole country and you're like, oh, and then you look at, oh, why are we bombing these people in the
Yeah.
desert over here? That doesn't make any sense. Or
Hmm.
sending money to someone else to bomb. And I think that was there was a huge, yeah, rise of anti-war sentiment that got Donald Trump elected for sure. And
Hmm.
there's been a massive amount of backlash since he just did a complete 180. Basically, once he started bombing Iran
Hmm.
or
Yeah. There's
or those nuclear sites, people really all of a sudden were like
right. Yeah. There's a bunch of stuff, the Venezuelan
that whole thing.
drug runners or whatever, all that stuff.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
people are like, you ran on like one of the most powerful anti-war um campaigns ever,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and then you just did a total 180. So, but I think also that's great, and for anyone who voted for him because of that, it's like it reflected the sentiment of America.
Mm.
So that is actually really inspiring that that many people were like willing to vote for him because even if it didn't
Right.
turn out that way,
Yeah.
um because that's what mattered to them most.
Yeah, no, it is. I think it's really cool too because like it's kind of like an apolitical way to like no matter what you're talking about, if it's Ukraine or any of these things of just like, hey, we're not gonna like just give tons of money and weapons to just anybody anymore.
Right.
Like it just seems like people are kind of tired of that.
Right. And it also goes back, you can say it's, we want to take care of our people here first. We
Right,
have
right.
housing, affordability,
Mm-hmm.
groceries, inflation. We should probably take care of that first.
Yeah,
And then if we want to go do that, we'll talk about that later, but ideally
absolutely.
not.
Yeah, I wanted to get into, we were talking about this kind of adjacency with very little to no taxation. And I just wanted to shout out, I've done, I don't know, 4 episodes basically about the ODOT package leading up to
Mm,
the referendum that's going on now. And I had Ed Deal on here and talking about it. But yeah, I just wanted to say really quick, I am just taken aback at how quick this thing, like I was doing a Instagram live the other day and I was like, it's only been like 10 days and I think they're already past the halfway point. I read an article the other day that said like they might already have enough signatures to get on the ballot, but I'm curious like your take on that. Obviously, you were telling me you're a captain, a signature captain, so you're
yeah.
gathering some of
Yeah,
this
for my
stuff.
little area.
Yeah.
Like I have 2 locations in Malino and Beaver Creek.
And what's that been like for you?
It's been amazing. I
Yeah.
mean, the volunteer corps that's popped up out of this, it's thousands of volunteers. And usually, petitions, getting signatures for petitions is a slog. It's
Yeah.
difficult. They can be confusing.
I tell people here on the time because people are like, just do a ballot thing. And I'm like, it's expensive. It usually doesn't work. But
Mhm.
I'm just like, the ground game with this thing is
Yeah,
so impressive.
very well.
Yeah.
Is the most well, and I definitely extend a lot of credit to Ed, to Representative Deal, for putting this together. No Tax Oregon, Nick Stark, all of these different
Mm.
organizations coming together because the work they did to lead up to this and when it was time to launch it was so well done. And I think people are still like a little traumatized over the Recall Kate Brown dueling petitions
Yeah.
from
Or
years back.
Yeah. Oh, you mean the Kotek one or the Brown
No,
one?
the
They're
Brown
okay.
one,
Both.
and
Yeah.
which was Republican led, but
Yeah.
there was like two different Republican groups who
Oh,
were
I
running
see.
two
Okay.
petitions, and
Which is
and
not going to
and
work.
they
Yeah.
would have gotten enough,
Right.
but there was like all this stuff going on. So people, I think this is from what I've heard from mostly conservatives and Republicans. However, there's a bunch of us libertarians that are involved. That was really
Right.
important to us. We're like, obviously, this is something that like is important to us as well. We'd like to have we love that it's called no tax Oregon because we're like, yeah, like let's just have no taxes. But
Right.
we
Right.
understand it's just for the gas tax this time. But we've been very welcome and everyone's been very kind and generous with us. So we really appreciate being able to be a part of it.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah,
It's
it's really well put together. It's inspiring.
yeah. And honestly, by the time this episode comes out, they probably I don't know. I think they're gonna
They'll
keep
be done.
gathering just to be safe and have it after.
Yes.
But it's just super impressive. And I wrote on here too. Like it gives me optimism for for like a proof of concept against what I always talk about the supermajority in the legislature because I feel like people are just tired of them kind of automatically making decisions
Hmm.
that people don't really agree with. And like if this is a demo for like other things that could work like this, it's like this is going extremely well. And
That's
it'll be interesting to see how that plays out with the legislature next year and reelection of people who
hmm
voted for the tax bill. And
right.
um,
Yeah.
so
Hopefully it affects them very much. That's what you always hope for is that people end up having to pay for the way that they vote in the legislature. But yeah, that's the all the chatter I'm hearing is everyone is now talking about how do we keep this together? How do we keep this going? How do
mhm.
we like instantly mobilize these 5,000 volunteers or however many now
Yeah, yeah.
to do anything, to get a ballot measure, to go lobby the legislature, how to make phone calls. Like this is really powerful. And the fact that it's so bipartisan,
Yeah, it
which
really
is huge.
is. I was going to mention that too. Like, I know a lot of people from all across the spectrum that are
Hmm.
signing this thing because they're just like,
Yep.
I think people are really, and that's, I understand the whole reason for the referendum is like, people should have a say in raising their own taxes. And I believe that's how Oregon usually works. But because this was an emergency session, that was a kind of a way to get around that,
Yeah,
right? I
because
think,
there's
yeah.
shortfall, and I mean, basically, they spent our money poorly in the first place and didn't manage it correctly from the money that they're already stealing from us through taxes, and then they wanted to cover the difference that is supposed to be. And of course, they always say the thing that's the most threatening. If it's not, oh, we have to take money away from the schools.
Hmm.
It's the roads. Your roads are going to be
Right,
messed up.
right.
That's like, okay, so we're going to take money from OTOT. They don't necessarily have to do that. I think Ed expanded on exactly the shenanigans around that. But
And there were alternative bills offered to this,
yes, yeah,
from Ed and people like that. So yeah, it wasn't like only one solution, and that's the one that they
right.
went with.
Just
But
one is more politically advantageous than the other. And of course, Kotek waited till the very last minute to be able to sign it. She would have waited longer. Um, but I think she got a lot of pressure even from Dems who were
for
like, come on,
sure,
like this just looks bad.
yeah,
Like you gotta, this is weird,
there were a couple, yeah, members of the legislature who were reaching out to her and saying, "What are you doing? Like, why don't you sign this thing?"
You're just sitting on it
And
and
also, I don't know if you saw, I thought it was really interesting this week. Um, somebody asked me like, "Is she gonna run? Is Tina Kotek gonna run for election?" I'm like, "Of course." But I don't know if you saw this week, but she did this emergency executive order like raising the gas tax for climate
15%.
reasons.
Hmm.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
I just saw it
To
as
counteract.
immediate, yeah,
Yeah.
reason to do damage control over the referendum
Yeah.
because she's like they're gonna pass this thing and it's gonna be on the ballot.
Which is
So
a huge abuse of power. Everyone loves executive orders when it's in their favor. It's something that you think is
yeah,
important.
yeah,
But when they get wielded against you, you're like, you shouldn't be able to do that. Uh,
yeah. I thought it was really interesting because it's I don't know. I didn't say this, but it is like people. Especially in Oregon, attack Trump all the time, but she does a lot of very Trumpian things like that.
yeah,
That's just like I'm just going to sign this executive order that's going to raise taxes right now.
right.
So Um, yeah, I was trying to think, is there anything else about the no tax Oregon thing? I don't know. It's going well. It'll probably pass, or it'll probably be on the ballot. So, um,
Which is really exciting too, because this is going to be oh, wow, I should be able to say it. An off year for elections. What is it called?
midterm?
Midterms.
Yeah.
midterms. So
non-presidential, yeah.
usually there's lower turnout for voters. So getting something like this on the ballot, you're going to have a much higher turnout for voters than you normally do, which is going to be very interesting to see how that plays out for everything that's on the ballot
Yeah.
in the midterms. Usually it's just mm, lower
Yeah, it's
turnout,
not
not
as
as much
much
excitement. But
interest, yeah.
if this gets on the ballot, it's going to generate a lot of excitement. People are going to be a lot more people are going to be voting for all
Yeah.
sorts of things.
And there's a lot of ballot measures going on. I don't know if you
Hmm.
saw that. There's that one guy, and I think it's Endeavor Capital. There's this guy who just dumped like 11 ballot measures he wants to put on. I'll put the link up. There's a Lamp Week story about it, but there's that. There's a police ballot measure here in Portland who I know the union guy from Portland Police. They just want to add more police. So there's interesting stuff of
Mm.
like we're gonna ask the people about a lot of different things. And I think you're right. Like hopefully that sparks people's interest to get them to vote more and turn
Hmm.
out. So um, yeah, I did. I want to ask you about because I don't know that much about this, but you have a. I don't even know what an amicus brief is, but you have an amicus
I didn't
brief
either.
going to the Supreme Court, right?
Yeah. So I was so I became chair, and then within a few weeks of that, I was given the opportunity. It's just an email that I saw about joining on to a Supreme Court civil asset forfeiture case through Timothy Barton versus the SEC. And I didn't really know much about his case, but I saw civil asset forfeiture, and I was like, "Well, we don't like that. We're
Mm-hmm.
libertarians, and no one should like civil asset forfeiture." Basically, meaning you're bypassing due process, and someone's assets can be seized without their being proven guilty.
For property or anything like that.
Anything,
Yeah.
property, yeah. And so digital assets, things like that. And so I looked into it. I read the other cases. I saw like Project Veritas was on there, Roger Stone. There's like 7 different petitioners at the time. And so I thought, well, okay. So I wrote them back and said, okay, we'll fill out the intent to file. And they were so excited. I get this phone from this lady from DC that's just over the moon, so excited. We have a deadline. We have about 24 hours to get approval from my executive committee because
Hmm.
I can't just make a decision like
Right.
that without going through them. So I reached out to them. I got a unanimous yes, which is what I needed. And I said, okay, I'll fill it out. And did the intent to file, and I just didn't really realize sometimes you have to do things and just not really think about it because then it's done and then you have to do the work. And
Mm.
so I had never done an amicus brief before, but thankfully I had an amazing team of lawyers and other libertarians in Oregon that are way smarter than me at these sort of things. We drafted up, we used a template, drafted up this mighty amicus brief. It took about a week to really finish. And then we had the opportunity to find other signatories. And National Libertarian Party was reached out to. They never got back to us, but 8 different state parties did. So we have like
Okay.
Libertarian Party of Tennessee and Maryland and Maine and Nebraska, Idaho, Mississippi. I think that was most of them, and a We the People Party of Pennsylvania.
Hmm.
And so they all hopped on to the amicus brief as signatories, and then I went off to the lawyers. The lawyers basically took my commoner speak and turned the whole thing into legalese, which is necessary. And then you have to get past the clerks. So that was my main concern. Was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not a lawyer. I did the best I could. Used all the best cases that have a basis in libertarian philosophy.
Hmm.
Um, to support an amicus brief is basically a friend of the defendant. So
Okay. Right.
amicus,
Okay.
amicable.
Now
Um,
that I think about it, because a lot of time I'll listen to the Supreme Court oral arguments, and
mm,
they'll have that as like a secondary thing. Is
yeah.
that kind of what?
So
Yeah.
meaning like we're not connected to the defendant. We
Right.
don't know Timothy. In no way does the outcome of his case affect us. But we support his position, and
Mm-hmm.
here's all the case law that is why we support it. And it's just kind of it's a friendly support of
Sure.
his case. And I just got the notification a few days ago that it's now on the Supreme Court docket,
Okay.
which is very exciting. So it
Yeah.
got past the clerks. Everything has to be formatted a very certain way. So I'm also grateful to have the lawyers involved. And it is very interesting going through the whole process because I'm like, yeah, normal people can't just do this. You really have to have this whole team to help you
Right.
navigate how to even get access to the Supreme Court in the first place. And if
Because
you don't know that, you're going to get blocked
yeah, there's so
immediately.
many opportunities to shoot it down.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah. And I was really concerned about that, but thankful again for the lawyers that knew better than I. Um, so anyways, it was very exciting.
that's
And so we'll
cool.
see
Yeah,
what happens with the case, but
and
it
if
was,
it's on the docket, that's kind of more or less on their schedule for
yeah,
review or something. Yeah.
yeah, it'll be viewed by them now. So hopefully the whole case goes really well.
Wow.
And
Yeah,
yeah.
that's cool. Yeah, I'll put a link up to. I saw you posted about it, or whatever I can find. I'll put a screenshot or whatever
Oh
if
yeah,
people want to find more info. I
there's an
think,
X post and it has the links
and
to
I
the
think there was something on
PDF
your
and
website too, the Libertarian website
yes.
about it. Yeah, that's cool. Um, yeah, this is kind of a weird transition, but I asked the Multnomah County Annie, the leader of the Multnomah County chapter, about this last time of just your take on. First of all, like, do you view? Because I asked her, like, do you view Argentina and Javier Milei as like a model of what do you call that? Crypto anarchism or what is it called?
Anarcho-capitalism.
Anarcho capital. I swear I have like dyslexia. I'm sorry, but do you view that as like a model for future libertarianism? I just think that that what's going on in the country is really interesting, and
It is.
um, as far as like they, from what I've seen, like really took the Doge approach of we're just going to cut all unnecessary elements of government and see how this goes. I know that there was like this whole kind of bailout. The U.S. kind of bailed them out a little bit, but
A
it's an
little
interesting experiment.
bit.
Yeah,
Yeah, so the bailout's interesting. I looked into it because I saw that and I was like, oh, that's not great. I also know that um Argentina was in just a horrible,
they were at like
horrible.
the bottoms.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
can't remember what
it's
the
kind of a
inflation was, but it was
super
like
rebuilding state. And I know, yeah, they took the inflation from like a horrible state to a much
right.
healthier state.
Right.
Yeah.
And so when people are like, "Oh, why can't we run like a Malay here in America?" And I was like, "Well, we could, and that'd be fantastic." However, people might not be willing to take such a risk because what
Mm,
he was saying he wanted to do was incredibly, it was wild. And people were willing to go for that, to cut things that dramatically
mhm.
and risk the spike in inflation that happened right afterwards, where people were like, "See, libertarianism doesn't, it doesn't work," and then it dropped down lower than it had been in a long, long time. But you have to be in a situation as a country where people are willing to take that leap
Right.
because it's so bad. And I was like, it's not that bad. Like we have inflation and we have housing affordability issues and it's uncomfortable, and we have a very divisive political spectrum. However, we're not like
We're not
it's
wheelbarrowing money to buy
Ye
bread or something. Yeah.
yeah, we're not like it's no. So we're not there yet. So I think the fact that Malay got his character and what his vision and the fact that that got him elected is really powerful. And I think that's amazing. The bailout thing, I don't really know. I read something about it. Maybe it was from Cato, where it was like, it's not actually a bailout, it was a currency exchange, which was
Okay.
something that was supposed to happen anyways. But I actually don't know enough about that to
Yeah.
really speak on it. But as far as like inspiring characters and doing a Doge like approach to cutting out all this stuff, yeah, I think that's fantastic. I would love to see that. However, if you have someone come in there and try and do that, like we just saw, kind of like Elon came in with Doge,
Right.
said, "Hey, USAID is, dumping all this money into all sorts of crazy weird stuff. Like, here you go. It's on a neat package. Here you go, Congress. Now take these steps. Get rid of it. Give this money back to not American citizens, but like re-inject it back into
Somewhere
the
else.
economy."
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
and Congress was like, "Nah, like it's too." Like they just threw it to the side. They're like, "Oh, it's too. We don't really want to do that, and it's too dramatic." People were really
It's
upset, like, "Oh, you're gonna cut USAID, you're gonna cut Ebola funding," and
right.
we're
It's
just
kind of a
not
shock to the system, or
right. And
yeah.
it is following that kind of Argentinian philosophy, but we're just not in a situation as a country to be willing to sacrifice that much yet.
Sure. And then it kind of reminds me of what we were talking about, whatever, 20 minutes ago of like, I guess it depends on who you ask, but it's like if you start going after some of the, some people might feel like, oh, that we need some of that for a social safety net or whatever reason they would say.
Right.
Whereas other people are like, sure, just go for it. Like, let's see what happens, you know?
Right. Right. And
Um,
and that's the important thing to remember about libertarianism, because people are like, "Oh, you're a libertarian. Oh, I was a libertarian when I was in my 20s too." And then grow up, and 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 I run into that among my peers all the time, where there is this utopian bent of, yeah, all the roads should be privatized and it should be this Ancapistan utopia where
Mm,
everyone just has great personal responsibility and everyone passes the shopping cart test and puts their shopping cart back, even though there's no daddy government to
right.
tell you to do that. And that's great. And that's somewhere to maybe aim for, but that's not applicable right in this moment. We have to make steps to get there. And
Yeah, yeah.
that philosophy is sometimes rejected in libertarianism, but that's kind of where I'm at as far as like my experience being across the whole spectrum of pretty darn anarchist about my view of the government, and then getting more kind of a realistic, like, how do we actually take these steps to get people there without just forcing everyone to starve
Mm,
because we shut down all of the government subsidies for
yeah.
groceries.
Yeah, no, I don't know. It seems like a real practical approach to it. Maybe that's the caucus you keep talking about. I'm not super familiar
Yeah,
with the party, but it seems like I think a lot of the older criticisms of libertarianism were like it's not realistic. Like you need to
right.
really approach this with some practicality, and that just seems like a real
A
smart
lot of this is very
approach
like
to it.
Mises Caucus kind of,
Yeah, I like that a lot. Of like you said, races you think you can win and that type of thing.
or make an impact, and that's a big part of our election strategy.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're moving into that or something else, but
Yeah, I was gonna. I mean, you can talk about it if you want. I was gonna go to. Well, actually, I did have this on here. Kind of ties into what we were talking about, and I asked Annie this last time too. Of like, there's a lot of people in Portland who I think still blame libertarianism or something like it for like stuff like Measure 110 and the
mm,
kind of like chaos
yeah,
in Portland. I don't really agree with that, but because I always hear the same, and I agree with this, the same thing of like, well, all that stuff kind of affects a lot of other people's liberties, so it kind of violates that
mm.
principle. But I'm just curious your take on it. Like, what would you tell somebody who's like, for the chaos and stuff from 2020 in Portland, that was kind of libertarians' fault? Like, what would you tell them?
I mean, I don't know of any elected libertarians or
That's true.
like
Yeah.
libertarians that had anything to do with any of that. So I don't know why we're being blamed.
I
Um,
guess as a philosophy, they might
as a
point to
philosophy,
that.
I guess, I mean, we are a fan of decriminalization
Mm-hmm.
in general, or ending the war on drugs, which is similar to the war on terror. It
Mm-hmm.
just begets more crime. And uh, yeah, Measure 110, what a nightmare. That was
Well, the thing too is like, I've been listening to some older, not my podcast, other ones about when that was going on. And it's still, I don't know. I feel like the fix to that didn't really like do that much. Maybe that's
yeah.
just my opinion, but I don't know.
I mean, sometimes I have an issue with initiative petitions because I just feel like when 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 you have something go like a when you have something go through the legislature, it has to go through a rules committee and it has to go through all these different committees to say, okay, this is the idea. Now, how do we pay for it? Okay, where does that money come from? Okay, how does that balance on the budget? Is this something that we can do? And then you have 110 come out, which is an initiative petition. So it didn't really
Mm,
go through all of those structures. And they
okay,
say, we're
okay.
gonna legalize everything. It's gonna be great. And the state needs to free up X amount of dollars for these many mental health treatment centers, and it's just gonna do it and figure it out, and that's that.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so there was money that was supposed to be released um, to start all these facilities and stuff to help people with their treatment,
Do the treatment side, yeah.
right? And that, as far as I know, still that money has not been released.
Yeah. It definitely
Um,
seems like it. I mean,
those treatment centers have not. I talked to people that run a bunch of the mental health treatment centers. They're like,
yeah, Oregon's
we
like
never
still
got support.
Oregon's like still bottom of the barrel for
Right.
that stuff,
Right.
yeah.
And that was supposed to be a part of the deal. And so you kind of miss this step of accountability where you can point at someone and be like, well, you guys promised us that if we did voted for this, then you would do this. But it was an initiative petition. So it was just mob mentality of people. There's no accountability. There's no one to point to. It's just, we just voted for it because it
Okay.
sounded
Yeah,
nice.
I would say I've never heard
So
of that, but that basically just means it's a ballot petition, or is that
yeah, it's
okay.
initiative petition. They
Okay.
got enough support to be able to get it on the ballot, and then
Okay.
it was a measure. Um, and it still has to go through like legislature adjustments later. It's just it was not. well done
Yeah.
at
Yeah,
all.
everyone at this point accepts, and that's why, partially they did this fix, but I think everyone still accepts that, yeah, like the treatment side was just totally ignored. Like they
Right,
didn't,
which is a
wasn't
lot of
anything
a
to do with
big
it.
reason why some people were willing to vote for it.
Right.
They're
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
"Okay, like that kind of
Sounds
makes
good.
sense."
And
And
yeah,
and so the thing about decriminalization is that yeah, we don't think that people should be, as libertarians, we don't believe people should be arrested or imprisoned for nonviolent crimes that are, they're just
using drugs, basically.
right.
Yeah.
But we also believe in property rights and
Mm-hmm.
your right to like your own like security of yourself and your family.
Sure. Yeah.
And so when you have people doing drugs, open air camping in your front yard and affecting like your kids being able to walk home from school or your kids are at the park that you also pay for by force with your taxes, but still, and they're finding needles and stuff like that. This is now infringing upon
Right.
your rights. So
There's like
it's
10 other rights that are infringed on in that process. Yeah.
exactly. And so it's like, yeah, you have the right to do whatever you want with your body. You can take drugs, do that as long as it doesn't affect anyone else around you. Um,
Yeah.
that's when things get weird.
For sure. I don't know. I always bring this up, but I always point to like maybe try. I just think TriMet's a great example of that, of like, because there's meth and fentanyl residue on like 90% of the
Yeah,
buses.
and
And so
like
it's
in
like,
the
and that's a
air.
great example of what you're saying of like, well, that affects literally the public transit system as a whole
Mm.
because there's, a small number of drug users or some number of drug users doing it on the bus
I
and all
just
that
thought it
stuff.
was bizarre that there wasn't, maybe I'm wrong, but like there wasn't something really written into it about doing drugs in public because I'm not allowed to drink in public. I can't walk down the
Right.
street with an open container of alcohol.
Right.
And alcohol is legal. So
Yeah.
why weren't like the same laws regarding that not applied to this? If you're going to do something so dramatic as to decriminalize drugs, like Schedule 1 drugs, why wouldn't you at least apply the same restrictions that we have on alcohol to it?
Sure. Yeah.
And which I don't agree with those restrictions on alcohol, but it's a good step, right?
Yeah. No,
Like,
I totally agree. And also, like, I don't think I could be wrong. Put this in the comments, you guys, if I am, but I feel like there's no real specific policy against open air drug markets and stuff like that. Obviously, there's like individual selling that's illegal, but like it's just such a problem in Portland, Seattle, San Francisco that you
yeah.
would think there'd be legislation kind of around that, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it becomes, I think that becomes a little bit weird when you regulate the sale of things
Yeah.
because, you have the ATF, alcohol, tobacco, and
Right. The feds.
firearms
Yeah.
for some reason. They're all combined. It doesn't make any sense to me. But now the government wants its little piece of the pie with taxation when it comes to tobacco and alcohol. So you don't really want the government to have a piece of pie when it comes to like controlled substances. It's probably
Mhm.
better for that to operate a little bit on the gray black market.
Yeah. I don't know why you just made me think of this, but and this is just my take, but or my opinion, but I really have been waiting for some president or whoever, like who's gonna decriminalize weed on the national level? Like there was talk of Trump doing it
Oh, yeah.
this year or
Oh,
in
yeah.
this term. I just think whoever does that is gonna be super. It's a popular move, in my opinion. I know there's a lot of the country that still doesn't want that, but the demographics kind of speak for themselves for me. Like most people in the younger spectrum just don't like it's not an issue. They don't see a
Right.
problem with it. And I'm just curious, like, is that like that part? Is there a party take on that with libertarians? Obviously, they're
I mean, yeah, decriminalization
right.
would be great on the federal level. But
There's a lot of opposition to it.
but it's I guess I think that it's because it's such a state's issue, which I support. I'd rather federal government like really not do anything or
Right,
make
right.
any decisions about anything ever.
Or I guess I'm saying, yeah, not have it
But
be a schedule whatever drug on their
yeah, I mean, right now, I think what's kind of happened is that so much of it has been given to state jurisdiction.
yeah,
Each state has different laws. Like Texas is wildly different than Oregon, or at least it was. But like Austin has its own kind of microcosm
sure,
of legality within Texas. So
medicinal or whatever.
I
Yeah,
feel like anyone running like for president, it's too much of a gamble. They're, to lose support from these certain states that aren't a fan to make any proclamation about it whatsoever.
right,
Because right
right.
now the states kind of have jurisdiction, which is how it should be. So
Yeah, and
I don't, yeah.
yeah, you're right. It is kind of that way because there's so many. I don't know how many there are, 10 or there's probably 20 now that it's fully legal.
Mhm.
So, and they don't really face any.
Yeah.
federal
There's little
anything.
pockets. Like, it's not gonna be a winning issue in Utah. They don't
Right,
even let you
right.
have real beer there.
Or
So,
Idaho or something.
yeah.
Yeah. Is that true? They don't let you have
Don't they still maybe aren't there, like, counties or in
maybe
Utah where
maybe
it's
I
like a
don't know.
percentage of beer is under 4% alcohol or something?
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised.
4.5.
I wouldn't be
Maybe
surprised.
that's
People were
outdated.
talking recently about have you ever heard of they have like the soda stores there. They're real popular because there's a lot of non-alcohol drinkers in Utah, but
Oh,
they're just like it's kind of like a Dutch Brothers, but you go in there and you get like a custom soda. Like there's like a
that's
bunch of
cool.
varieties of
That
soda you can get. I don't know, it's like a trending thing there. Um
that's great.
yeah, I was gonna shift gears a little bit and ask you about somebody commented on last time I had Annie on, and they wanted me to ask about school choice with
Mm. Mm,
libertarianism and like
yeah.
what that looks like. Obviously, I would think you're a proponent of it,
Yeah,
but
I mean, it's in the name. It's like school choice. Like,
right,
you
yeah.
should be able to choose where you put your kids into school. Um,
And obviously, we're seeing a lot of, at least in the metro areas, I've seen in smaller communities they are gaining enrollment, but like where I'm at here in Portland, enrollment's just declining like
mhm.
crazy because of a number of factors. But it seems like school choice would be a good option for.
Well, Portland, I think I was just looking at this chart and it's in like the top 10, maybe top 25 actually, of cities with the least, with the decrease in kids.
Okay,
Like,
sure,
in general,
right.
like, families are fleeing the city or they have.
Yeah, and also I just saw this week that I mean, this has probably been this way for a while, but our deaths are outpacing births. Like people just aren't even having
Well,
kids,
it's
which
yeah, on a
yeah,
national scale, I think
yeah,
it's at 0.09. No, 0.9.
that's the national
Yeah,
ratio.
and
Yeah,
our replacement rate's supposed to be 2, and we're below that.
yeah,
So that's supposed to be concerning. But school choice, I mean, yeah, so what is it? It really comes the reason why school choice is opposed a lot of the time because it comes down to the number attached to your kid's head from the government, the tax dollars that are
okay,
allotted towards them.
sure,
So each kid, it's like I think the value is like $7,000 per kid.
okay,
So the districts want that money because each kid they enroll, they get ching, ching,
right.
ching. And unfortunately, a lot of times it doesn't seem like that money goes towards improving the school. It goes towards administration, super bloated administration. So I am biased, obviously. But I think since COVID, there's been this huge change in like homeschool pods, privatizing, like families coming together and like, putting money together and creating these little groups and kind of exiting the public school system in the first place. But um, I think people are just really just kind of ripe for it.
Yeah,
I think they're ready for it. They don't want to just be said, this is the school in your area and this is the only one you get to pick from. You're like, well, what
hmm
about this one? It has better. I like the teachers there better. I like how they use their funding in the first place. Like, I want to go over there. And they're like, no, you can't. You have to put your money here. And it's like, well, this school sucks.
it's
You
kind
know,
of a monopoly
it
on
is. It
choice.
is. The school
Yeah,
districts is like a whole, and it's not my area, but there are people that could go on and on and on and on about it. That
yeah.
it's a huge corruption
I want to
thing.
have that guy Jeff. I think his name is. He's on Twitter. There's some guy who does. I think it's like Save Oregon Schools or something. Anyway, but I see it as like a two-pronged thing of like obviously Oregon school performance is in the toilet. So
Hmm.
that's like one thing of people like we want better education, but also it's like I think and maybe I don't know, I'm curious if you'd agree with this after 2020 and this like 2 years of basically closing schools and what I would say damaging a whole generation of kids. It just seems like do you see that also as like parents wanting a less rigid ideology in their schools? Because it seems like after 2020, it's like
Mm.
we're just going to put every stamp on these kids that we want to,
Hmm.
whatever that looks like.
Yeah.
And school choice is a way out of that, of like getting a less rigid education ideology out of education.
Yeah, I mean, if you have school choice and you have a school right here that's doing like all state propaganda possible, and then you have a school over here that's just focusing on like math, reading, and writing,
Right. Yeah.
parents are probably going to choose the one that is just math, reading, and writing.
Yeah.
Because families all have their own ideology. You have 18 years to pump your own ideology into your kids at home. You don't necessarily need need or want the government to come do that for you. It's weird.
Yeah.
And so parents are going to choose most of the time, regardless of their ideology, just to put their kids in school to learn the basics.
Right. I guess yeah. What I was saying, asking too, is like, do you see did that ramp up? It's maybe in 2020 of like we're more ideological stuff for kids. It seems like that. I hear it from parents all the time of
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I heard I was talking to a guest actually on the show who has a business a month ago or so, and he's saying that his son in high school they were asked to like put where you're at politics wise on like a map,
Whoa.
and that way all the kids can see where they are. And I'm just like, that seems like a super stupid
When was
idea.
that? Like recently
A
or in the
couple, yeah,
last?
like, I don't know, a couple
I mean,
years
I feel
ago.
like it's calmed down a lot. I feel like it's a trend, just like if woke stuff, just
Yeah,
way too far left. The corporations, you can follow the corporations basically to see where we're at culturally as a country because they follow the money, right?
that's
So
true. Yeah.
all the corporations jumped on board, right? They thought that's where the money was. We're going to make everything following this very, very woke agenda. And then their money and their ratings started tanking and they're like, oh, abandon the ship.
Mm.
So the same thing has basically been echoed, I think, in our schools. Um, it's not. I have my kids in public school because
Oh,
I
really?
have
Okay.
two of them. One of
Yeah.
them I'm homeschooling, and then I have one that is she's in seventh grade now, and then the other one's a freshman in high school. And I live rurally, so I don't really have a lot of options,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
my kids just require way more education than I can give them. But it's been really interesting incubating them for this long, and
Mm.
then putting them out into the world and into the public school system. So I kind of get to have this really interesting feedback from them when they come home. And like even in my son's world geography book, he was doing this assignment and it was like about why do people live in certain areas of the world? And one of the reasons was about they just somehow managed to write this section about like being non-binary and that
Mm.
determining where you live. And so I got to have this very interesting conversation with my son about like when this textbook was written and like why that was relevant at the time.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
however, statistically, it's really not relevant when it comes to learning about world geography. And it was just fascinating to see it like in his textbooks,
Yeah,
but
for
they were
sure. Yeah.
from an era that is now being moved away from.
It's
Like,
kind of
I don't
shrinking a
think
little. Yeah.
textbooks in 5 years are going to be reflecting the same thing. They're going to start phasing things out.
It was kind of part of a trend or
It's
mania
just
or
it
something.
was just
Yeah.
a trend. People get really excited about things, and there's a huge corporate push, and it got kind
Right.
of out of hand.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know. I'll probably get some flack for this, but I always say this the school unions are kind of crazy too, at least up here, the Portland Associated Teachers is like it's all ideology. They don't even care about like, or they never even really talk about like the success of students. It's all just like the
So
Middle
yeah,
East and like all this other stuff. And
yeah,
but I don't know. I just public unions in general have a lot of issues here, and also with the legislature. I'm just real
oh yeah, oh
tired
yeah.
of the machine. It's just all like a washing machine, and it
It's a
just keeps going.
yes, yep.
And yeah, this kind of ties into. I mean, we've talked a little bit about some of this. A real theme I try to get into the show is Oregon's economy as a state. Um, I just saw a thing this week that this is Multnomah County. There are other counties that are doing better, but Multnomah County for the past 10 months has had negative employment, um, which is not never good. I mean, this is the most populous county in the state, and we're losing jobs. We're not adding jobs. But I'm just curious, like, kind of what we were talking about earlier of like libertarianism just seems like has a real opportunity to fix a lot of the Oregon economic issues because of all the stuff we talked about. Like, there's such a focus on efficiency and personal success with finance and that
Hmm.
type of thing. Um, but like, how do we fix Oregon's economy? Is what I'm
Oh my gosh.
asking.
I mean,
And should people just vote libertarian to start on that path? Is that a good?
I think if everyone voted libertarian, we'd be in a very different place.
Yeah.
But your libertarian vote, choosing to vote as libertarian, is a very strategic thing to be done strategically and intentionally. And but yeah, as far as Oregon economy, obviously the first thing to do is to cut waste, um, and all the excess where
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
I'm not an economist, but I do think that there's so many different areas. We were just talking about like the school,
Hmm.
the teachers union, the school district, the bloated, anywhere that there's a bloated uh, administrative state or regulations, there's opportunities to be able to cut things out without sacrificing like the good work, or sacrificing like the kids in the school system and like what they're getting needed, or maybe that contract from with your buddy for a $30 million bridge, you could get that contract somewhere else and it's actually $3 million, like actually reflects the cost.
Mm.
A little bit of shopping around, but it's hard to just give a blanket response on being like, this is how you fix everything, because that's kind of what gets us in trouble a lot, like
Hmm.
as a state and as a nation.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
There's not really just a blanket answer
Like a
for how to
one
do
size fits
anything.
all. Yeah.
Right. It's like the solutions that would work for Portland are not solutions that are going to work for Clackamas County or Ashland. And one of the issues, I think one of the biggest issues that we have is that things are so spread out. That's the whole point of decentralized, right? Things are so spread out and so big that any one solution is not going to be able to apply to the whole thing. Things have gotten just way out of hand as far as size and scope. So it's very hard to make any changes whatsoever. So that's why I always recommend that you start really small. You start and focused on your core groups. What can we do right here? And then how do we grow that? Start a nonprofit, start a PAC, start a church, start some sort of community mutual aid sort of thing. If you want to do something to change your area, then do it, and
Yeah.
start small and then grow it, and then hopefully that will start to affect and infect your local politics, and then you go from there.
Yeah, no, I like that a lot. I say it a lot on this show too. Like, that's why I do the show is to local politics, and that really affects the change that you're going to see the most in your
Right,
community. So I like that a lot. Yeah, and you're saying start whatever level you're comfortable with, whether it's city, county, all that stuff. As small as you want to start, just start a
right.
group and get traction and get it going. And
Right.
um,
It's like I would love to just like cut all the taxes out of the state, but we also have a huge housing issue
yeah, yeah,
and homeless issue and all, and food, state food stamps. Like obviously we shouldn't be
right,
depending on the national for that. I don't even, like, that should be a big wake up call to people.
yeah,
But so obviously we can't just start slashing things like that, because then you're going to have like a major revolt from everyone.
yeah. Well, I was
So
gonna say too, you made me actually think of, because like I think this is a great example of what you're talking about, a one size fits all. Like what Tina Kotek did and what Oregon did to solve housing is exactly that. It's a one size fits all solution that
mhm,
applies to all cities and county. It applies to the whole state, and it basically mandates that all lots, properties can be subdivided, and you can put you can put
yeah, yeah,
ADUs anywhere. Basically, it's a very density focused
yeah,
approach, which that's great for places like Portland that have been like extremely regulated as to what you can do with your property, but it does not work with small communities at all. And that's like, you just made me think of that, of like, you know, Oregon said we're going to solve housing and just put like this one solution for the whole state, which just makes
right.
zero sense for me as somebody who grew up in a small town. And um, you're in a small community too.
Mhm.
It just seems like we have that approach a lot, and I agree with what you're saying of like it needs to be more nuanced. And I guess starting at the local level is probably a better way to
Yeah.
try to change things, right?
More local control, I think, is usually the best way.
Yeah,
Like I'd love to see county commissioners empowered to make more like county specific decisions without having interference from all these people that have no idea what it's like to live in that county, or
right,
what
right,
the situation is, economics for people in that county. They just care about the numbers for the whole state. It's like it's not going to be the same. The needs of people in Coos County is not going to be the needs of people in Deschutes.
right.
Like, why would you try and merge that?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oregon just has such weird, I would say, bad land use laws, and like it's just weird, this housing thing she's trying to do. It's like I said, it makes sense for the metro area, but you go anywhere outside of that, and a lot of these smaller communities are growing because people are getting out of the city,
Mhm,
and that
mhm.
housing shit that she did really like put a hampers on their growth, because it just doesn't. It's more designed for density. It just doesn't make any
Right.
sense. But anyway, let me see here. I did want to ask you about if there are. I mean, we can talk about the 2026 election in general, but is there anyone like coming up candidate wise that we should pay attention
Um,
to for libertarians?
I don't.
Or is it too early?
It's a little early. It's a little
I know.
early. Like, I have things I want to say because I'm really excited about it,
Yeah.
but I think I would be reprimanded very very strongly, even as the chairwoman, for spilling the beans a little too soon. So I think that we are definitely waiting. We're going to start ramping things up after
Yeah.
we get through the holidays. We have a couple conventions coming up, so we're going to have our
Yeah.
business
Yeah.
convention at the end of March, and then we will have a nominating convention in the summer sometime.
Okay. Yeah, I know it is a little. I'm like always just super eager, and I'm looking on Star every week and
Oh
watching all
wow.
that shit, and I just watch all. And people are starting to jump in, but I think January, February, early in the year, a lot of people will kind of announce their candidacy and stuff like that.
Yeah, and we kind of I don't know if that's the tactic we'll do this year, but we do like to kind of wait and see the board because we're very intentional about how we run candidates. So we run a lot of non-affiliated candidates,
Mhm.
or not nonpartisan races we
Yeah.
like to run in. Those are winnable for libertarians, like council members, seats, mayors, things like that.
Yeah.
Um,
Ones that are supposed to be nonpartisan.
Right.
They're kind of turning
Right.
that
Suppose,
against
yeah,
that
it's
way, but
nonpartisan.
yeah.
But as far as like state reps and stuff, there's very strategic placement of candidates that we can do depending on what effect we're trying to have in
You're at
the
right.
election.
So that's
So,
why you're saying you like to see that board and
yeah,
kind of how
we
the
want to
dynamics
know.
work with
Yeah, we
that.
want to
Yeah.
see how many points we need to take to disrupt everything.
Okay. Makes sense. Is there anything else you want to say about that? I've been asking people about the governor's race, and
Oh, yeah.
I think it's interesting. I hope that Chris Dudley's going to run. There's rumors that he
I've
might,
heard about
and
that. That would be
I
very
just think that primary
interesting.
would be really interesting
It
between
would
him and
be,
Christine.
yeah, Christine.
But is there anything, I don't know, do you have any thoughts about that race in general? Tina Kotek will probably win. I don't know. I've been telling people like it's an uphill battle, but
Yeah.
you never know a year from now what's going to be going on.
I
And
mean, Tina's really been truly terrible. I don't think I haven't seen her numbers, but I don't think she's very much liked
I know that
by.
when she started, they did a approval rating, and we went from the worst with Kate Brown to the worst. It was like
Oh,
super. I think it was like I don't know, 10 or 15% or something. But
oh, that's right. Yeah, and these people still get elected, so
yeah,
which is wild. Yeah, I'd be very excited to see someone other than Christine Drazen from the Republican side.
yeah, okay, okay, yeah,
Just as like options. Like we already did that.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
And hopefully we don't have like 13 different Republicans running for governor this time. Hopefully there's like a couple choices for people to
Hmm.
be able to choose from. And we'll see what the libertarians do with that. Um, yeah. Well, okay. So one thing I did want to say is that so with our bylaws, one thing that people aren't aware of, and it's something that we can do now, is we have our registered members. So you have registered libertarian, you're only a libertarian, and you can vote in our nominations and you can vote for libertarians, etc. But we also have regular memberships. So anyone from any party can become a regular member. You
Okay.
pay $50, which is your yearly dues. And then you sign a pledge, which basically says like, I won't hurt you and take your stuff if you don't
Mm.
hurt me and take my stuff. Something libertarian. It's on the website. And so then you're a dues paying member of the Libertarian Party. So you can vote and attend our business conventions. So
Okay.
you can have a role to play in like our platform and our bylaws possibly and things like that. Because you're invested in the Libertarian Party, but you don't want to give up your ability to vote for a Republican. Or
Okay.
people are
Sure.
like, oh, if
Yeah.
you vote Libertarian, you're going to waste your vote. This is a way for people to engage in Libertarian Party because we have so many people that whisper to us being like, I'm actually a libertarian. We're
Right.
like,
Right.
that's great, but can you be? Like, we could use you. So it's a way for people to engage with the Libertarian Party, still keep their being with the other party. But there's also something in our nominating convention where, let's say you're a Republican, you could be a Democrat too, but it's just not as likely. You're a Republican, you're a regular dues paying member, you show up to our nominating convention, and no one is running for District 52, let's say, as a libertarian, a registered libertarian. You can say, hey, I want to run. And you're not a registered libertarian, but you're like, I want to run. I signed the pledge and I'm a regular member.
Mm.
You could get you could get nominated as our libertarian candidate, but you're still a Republican for, you see how that works?
Interesting.
It's a
Okay.
really
Yeah.
interesting little thing that we can do. So it's a way to kind of bring in people with the same ideology as us, but might have to keep their party. It's like a
Yeah.
Ron Paul. Like Ron Paul is like he was Republican, but
Okay.
he's our libertarian guy. Thomas Massey, he's a Republican, but he's our libertarian
Sure,
guy.
sure.
So
Okay.
if people like them come along and are like, hey, can we get the nomination? We'll probably want you to have the
Okay.
nomination. So
That's
it's a
that's
cool thing that
cool.
not a lot of
Yeah.
people know about,
Yeah.
that will be implemented this summer.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I like that. Yeah. Do you see that as a way to kind of uh I don't want to say get around, but just deal with Oregon's primary system and how that set
Yeah,
up? And,
it's a way for us to do co-nominations.
yeah.
And yeah, in our primary system, we have to do nominating conventions. We don't have state subsidized primary ballots like the Republicans
Like
and
some.
Democrats do.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's cool. Yeah. I didn't know that there's like a couple membership options there.
Yeah, I have more information online. Like I have a whole Google slide. If people go to our bylaws, they can kind of see it explained really
Okay.
easily.
That's cool. I mean, I like that just to have more variety of candidates and
Hmm.
stuff. Um, yeah, is there anything you want to say about before I get into some of these funny things about
Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Was there anything, no, is there anything you want to say about Portland? I know you used to live here
Yeah.
probably during maybe one of the worst
Hmm.
times in Portland,
Yeah.
but was there anything, did you see anything crazy driving in today? I always ask people that. I don't know. Does it, what are your thoughts on it right now?
Think so. My husband works up here every day. He's a contractor, so he's the one that sees the crazy things.
Yeah.
But he's mostly in Northeast and Southeast. I think it's probably better. I think it's better. It sounds like they started cleaning up a lot of like the out of control like vagrancy issues.
Yeah.
Trying to maybe enough businesses leaving the downtown area finally prompted them to be like, maybe we should do something. We should take care of the businesses that inject money into our community. And
Hmm.
um, but yeah, again, it's just been this like ongoing just spiral of I wouldn't even know how to take care of that many homeless people in an area. Like
Yeah. There's many, many
it's
thousands. Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
it's a real
and it's
mess.
funny you brought that up because there was 2 weeks ago, some of the DSA counselors wanted to defund basically Portland Solutions, which does a lot of that cleanup. And when they clean up these camps that are impeding all the rights we were talking about earlier, and they're unsafe for the people living in them, they offer, you know, whatever options they can to the people, treatment options,
Mm.
whatever they can. And but anyway, yeah, the DSA tried to defund that and it failed in the city council, but
Oh,
which is surprising. I mean, it was basically the mayor got behind it because he's, you know, really trying to. His whole thing was homelessness, like we're going to fix this, and so yeah, but it failed in the
and he
city
got
council.
elected on that.
Yeah,
So,
it
I
was a single
mean,
issue
I
candidate
think people
basically.
are ready to figure out solutions for it. It's like, how do you take care of the people with obviously with either drug-induced psychosis or mental illness or both or whatever's going on
Hmm.
and they're homeless? Like, obviously, they need to be taken care of. And keeping people in open air drug prison is just one of the most inhumane things that you could do.
For
You should
sure.
not be allowing people to thrash around naked in the street.
Yeah.
And
For sure.
my kids shouldn't have to witness it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how do
Absolutely.
we make everyone happy?
Totally. Yeah.
And I do think that I think that Portland's turning around. I think it's in a better spot now. I think I do. But I don't live
Yeah.
here all the time. So
Yeah. No, I mean, definitely compared to 2020 and 2021, all that stuff. It was a low point.
yeah,
um,
that was rough.
okay. Let me get into some of these. Um, I should set this up. If you guys want to check out Sonia's first episode, we talked about like farm life, and I wanted to get into like butchery. Is that what you call it?
Mm.
Butchery?
Yeah.
More in that episode, but
Mm.
some of these are kind of tied in because I figured like you're the perfect person to ask about this. Maybe I don't know. But what's your typical Thanksgiving setup? Do you just go the regular bird, the turkey? Like what's your
A regular bird, the turkey.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Some
so we
people.
have a whole bunch of turkeys that we've basically been taking care of on my family's property
Oh, really?
for
Okay.
over a decade now. Yeah, we're very careful about taking too many of them. So it's usually like once or twice a year we'll take a big old tom and let the younger tom kind of come
Is that
up.
what they're called? Toms?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
And
don't
they're
know anything
hilarious.
about this. Yeah.
They're this weird combination of like a wild turkey. But at one point, the people who lived on the property before us brought in these heritage turkeys,
Okay.
and I think they bred And so now it's like this kind of domesticated wild turkey. So they
Half
come right
feral
up
or
into our
yeah.
areas. You know, they pick fights with the chrome bumpers because they see the reflection. They get all, it's hilarious. They have a tree, it's like a favorite roosting tree. So we'll take one for Thanksgiving, and we'll usually also have a ham, one of the farm hams.
I like that.
Yeah,
I like alternative, like that's why I asked. Some people do other stuff.
we just have so much ham. It's like we have to put a
Okay,
ham out.
okay. I like it on. I like ham on Christmas a lot, but
Yes, you gotta have a Christmas ham
um,
too.
I've told this to other people. My family is like mostly vegetarian or pescatarian, so I get like they'll go to Fred Meyer and get like some pre-cut turkey, and like that's like for me and my brother-in-law.
Oh,
But so I just wish I could do like the full thing sometimes.
and you get the whole like turkey drumstick. You gotta do that at least
Yeah.
once.
And maybe this will gross people out. I've talked about it before. I want to do Popeyes has a Cajun turkey you can get. I don't know if they're doing it this year, but they've done it in the past where you can pick it up at Popeyes
Oh
or like
wow.
they'll ship it to you frozen.
Oh my.
But yeah, do you have a favorite side? Like I mentioned, I just like mashed potatoes, gravy. I mean, maybe people consider that like a staple, and that's not really.
I mean, you can't like not have it.
Yeah,
It'd be a problem.
it's like half of the
Like you
equation.
don't have to have scalloped potatoes, but
Okay,
because
that's
you
true.
already have
Yeah,
mashed.
yeah.
Mashed is
That's more of
there.
a side. I guess if that doesn't count, I would pick. I love green bean casserole
Mm-hmm.
and pumpkin pie. Pumpkin pie might be another essential one, I guess.
It is.
But
You know, this is so my stepdad makes this amazing cranberry relish,
mm,
like homemade cranberry relish. It's, you know, has all these good ingredients in it. It's made with love. And I still prefer, I have this weird thing about canned cranberry
oh yeah, just
jelly.
that
Like
taste. Yeah,
I want the lines of the can on the
that
gelatinous
imprint.
blob.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually get in fights on Twitter. I had to bring it up actually soon about the cranberry relish versus canned cranberry battle. We're almost through eggnog battle season.
Oh
Next is
yeah.
cranberry.
How do you feel about
We
that?
won.
I like
The
eggnog.
the egg the eggnoggers won.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I like that. I don't know.
I think.
Eggnog's one of those ones I like Halloween. I bring up candy corn a lot because I know it drives people
Oh yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
And eggnog's the same thing. I find it
Yeah.
if you just mention like, oh, it's pretty good, some people are like, oh, it's so
It's so
gross.
funny.
Like,
I was there for the first year that it really launched, and
really?
mostly in like kind of like gun Twitter spaces is
Yeah.
where it kind of got weird and it blew up. This year, it's gotten so far that you have like Ruger, Brownells, like Glock. Everyone
They're
is
jumping
weighing
on it.
in. Yeah, weighing in on the eggnog wars. Like every famous like associated with gun or military or vet, they're all just
I didn't know. I'll have to
yeah,
check out some
it's
of those.
it was trending a couple times, the
Okay.
eggnog wars.
Okay.
Anyways, not to go off topic, but
No, that's all
eggnog
good.
and cranberry jelly
Okay.
in a can.
I like those choices.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys put your favorites in the comments from Thanksgiving. I'll tell you one of my least favorite. I never like stuffing. I don't know why.
Like
Uh,
in the turkey.
Either way, I just
Because it's
think it's
called
kind of
dressing on the outside.
okay. Is it really? Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't make any
So I
sense.
guess that makes sense because you're stuffing the turkey, but yeah.
I don't think I've had a stuffed. I feel like people got really freaked out about it. Like I remember as a kid, my mom being like, "We never put the stuffing inside because then the turkey might not cook all the way, and you're gonna have
Mm,
raw turkey touching your stuffing." I don't know. Not that we really care about that on the farm. It's
yeah.
like it's literally grown there. It's
Right.
nothing to
You don't have to
happen.
worry about that.
But I don't mind. I like dressing.
Okay. Dressing.
Dressing when it's not in the turkey, it's
Yeah.
dressing.
Okay. Um, this is I figured I'd ask you about this because you know a lot about animals and stuff, but I like milks of all kinds.
Okay.
I like goat milk, cow milk. Um, I found out a couple years ago you can get deer milk from New
No.
Zealand. I probably couldn't actually get it. I don't know how
How
they
are
get
they
it here,
milking these
but I don't know.
deer?
I'll put the website up. I found it a couple years ago, and I'm like, I want to try deer milk,
It
but
sounds almost cruel, actually. It's
yeah.
like you're gonna milk a wild animal, like,
Somehow they have like
but they're
a farm, yeah, or
domestic
something. I don't know
deer.
what they do, but I was just curious. Yeah, you're not a fan of that
I
idea.
do, I'm not a fan. I'm just trying to wrap my mind around it.
Yeah,
I've never considered milking a deer. I can't imagine how much milk are you getting from this deer and
that's
why are you milking
that's
the
what I
deer?
wonder too. I'm like, it just doesn't seem like the best animal to do that with, but
I had a friend that was obsessed for a while with donkey milk. He
donkey
wanted
milk.
to start
Okay.
a farm and raise donkeys and get donkey milk and make a very special donkey cheese. And I thought that was pretty weird.
I would try that. I would
Yeah.
try the cheese and the
But
milk.
deer milk,
Yeah, they
I
just
don't
it just
know.
seems like they're too like thin for that. I don't know what
I
that
don't.
is, but
Yeah,
um
send that to me or post
I'll
it and
put
I'll,
stuff
yeah.
on it, and I think they make like a powder version of the milk. I don't know. I was trying to figure out how I can get it here, but
Yeah.
um
Fresh.
okay. I don't think I asked you a lot of these last time. Did you? Do you remember me asking you goofy food
Maybe
questions?
not.
Do you like Doritos?
I don't eat. I have I've had Doritos. It's been a long time since I had them and I really liked them.
Okay.
There's like a natural, like Late July makes a nacho cheese chip
Those are
that is
good. Yeah.
similar, but it's not Doritos. But I
Alternatives,
do
yeah.
like Doritos. So I don't eat
Okay.
them.
What's do you have a favorite like chip brand or chip type or something? Are you a Ruffles gal?
Oh no. I like corn chips. I like potato chips. I
Okay,
like
okay. You probably make your own or something. I don't even know.
yeah,
Maybe.
I don't really eat a lot of crunchy things.
Okay. That
Yeah.
makes I'm kind of as I get older, I'm kind of that way too. I already have one crown in my teeth and I don't want to have to worry
Yeah.
about
I've had
that. I
just so
mean,
many teeth issues like as
yeah.
a kid and stuff. I just
Mm.
avoid crunchy things in
Okay.
general.
Well, that you probably answered my question of, and maybe you asked this last time. You don't like crunchy peanut butter. Do you like peanut butter at all?
I do like peanut butter.
Okay.
I don't I like crunchy. I like smooth. It's not, I have to make, maybe it's like decision fatigue, but I have to make so many decisions about things all the time, like with my kids
Yeah. You just kind of
and work
go
and stuff. I'm like, either way,
just go
I'll
with
take the crunchy,
whatever's
I'll take the smooth. I probably prefer the smooth.
okay. Okay. Um, I mentioned candy corn earlier. Do you like candy corn?
No, I don't think
Okay.
so. I don't
Okay.
really eat sweets.
Okay. Um, do you have a pet peeve that drives you crazy? I thought of one the other day. Um, I always give a bad example of like what people would think is a pet peeve that I do is like, I wear socks when I sleep, but I also like,
You wear socks when you sleep?
yeah, almost all the
Oof. My
time.
mom told me that my feet were gonna suffocate,
Okay.
so I should not do that. And I told my kids that without thinking.
Yeah,
Now
so
they
that's
think
her
that.
pet peeve is doing that.
Wow.
But one thing that drives me crazy is when, and I don't know why, is when dudes have longer fingernails, and I see that. Like, I don't know what it's become like in the past few years. Like, I'm pretty obsessive about it, and I'll like if I have one that's a little bit long, I'll just get in there and trim it. That's a pet peeve of mine. But I don't know. Do you have any things that?
Seeing guys with long, interesting.
And some people, I don't know why some guys like their nails longer.
I just
I
don't
don't
really
know.
look at anyone's nails
Okay.
as much as you do. I've never thought, now I'm going to. Now I'm going
I
to
don't
be
know.
looking at people's
I don't know
nails.
what that's about. I like them short. That's how I roll. But
Oh, okay. Pet peeve. I really don't like it when the windows are down in the car e-
that's a good one.
ever.
Yeah. I was just doing that the other day. I'm not gonna say with who, but somebody had the three windows down and it was freezing.
Yeah, it's cold, or it's like, you can't just crack one because then it's like wah 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 wah. So then you have to crack
Yeah.
another, and next thing you know, it's just there's noise, and
Yeah.
you're on the highway. Why would you? It's so loud. I can't think. Everyone's trying to talk to me. Like I really can't
I
handle
like
it.
that. That's a good pet peeve. I like that. Is there an animal? This is a good question for you. Is there an animal or creature you're most afraid of? A lot of people also say snakes and spiders and stuff, and
I really don't like spiders, but I'm not like
it doesn't bug you that much.
an animal or like a bug that I'm really afraid of. I know that there is something, and I just can't think of it.
A lot of people have recently been saying mountain lions and that kind of
Yeah, I'm not.
thing.
I just skinned a mountain lion the other
I
day.
think I may have seen a photo of that actually.
Yeah,
That's
I made a
crazy.
video. I
Yeah.
made a time lapse
Yeah.
video. It took way longer to make that video than it took to skin it.
How did you get that? How did you
My
get that in?
where I was living before, a little farm in Malino, a cougar killed one of their goats, and then they have like a little toddler.
Sure, yeah.
And this cougar was like ran like right in front of him, like 10 feet from them, was
Jeez.
not worried about humans trying to kill these goats. So they called a hunter out, and he came out and took out the cougar, and they said, do you want to skin a cougar? And I said, yes, I want to skin a cougar. But I was very nervous the entire time because I'm like in it with my face on the fur, and I'm very allergic to cats. And I had this
Mm.
thought halfway through where I was like, oh, like, what if, like, am I going to have the worst allergy attack of my life? And no allergies. I'm not allergic to cougars, apparently.
That's what I was wondering. Is it all the same or is it?
I guess not.
Yeah. Okay.
I guess not. But yeah, I guess as far as being afraid,
Sharks? What about sharks?
I don't go in the ocean.
Okay.
So maybe, yeah, I just like don't do it. I'm not a fan.
Jellyfish scare me too.
Jellyfish are scary.
They'll just like kill you in contact or something.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not really like
You seem pretty like fearless with that type of thing.
aggressive cats, house cats.
Okay.
Yeah, I was attacked by
Yeah.
one time and it was very upsetting.
Okay. Yeah, cats can be, the thing is like they'll just, as long as they got their claws, they'll get you.
She's a very loving cat.
It's caught up in the disconnected from the dead.
Yeah.
And they'll go crazy. Do you have a favorite type of French fry? Do you like crinkle cut, regular cut, curly
Not
fries,
crinkle. Not crinkle.
waffle fries?
I do like the waffle. I do like the waffle. I do like I don't want them to be too crunchy. I like the long string ones.
Okay.
They're like kind of soft,
Mm-hmm.
and then maybe the ends are a little crispy. That's good.
Okay. Let's got a couple more here. Do you believe in aliens, Bigfoot, or ghosts, or anything like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm into all that stuff.
I don't know
so-
why not. Like I could either choose not to or I choose to. And the Bigfoot, I don't know.
Yeah, that's the least of mine. It's
Yeah.
still interesting, but I'm like, I don't know. That's probably not.
I'm not gonna like actively believe in that. And then actively believe in aliens. I mean, they could be interdimensional. They could be demons.
Yeah.
But I do know that there's something weird.
Have you been following the comet thing?
Yeah, that's
Pretty weird, huh?
Yeah, I don't. That stuff freaks me out. I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't know.
I haven't been tracking it like day to day, but I just know it's been doing weird stuff. And,
Yeah.
Okay. Is there any? I don't know. Maybe there's not. I was just give people a chance. If there's like a restaurant or a business you want to shout out that's in your area, or it could be anywhere in Oregon. It doesn't have to be.
I mean, we have a new in Malino. We have a new Cowboy Coffee brick
Okay.
and mortar location. So
I
they've
think I
had.
saw that somewhere in my feed or something.
Yeah. So they have had. I think they had just two of the little coffee shack things, and then they have one brick and mortar kind of bed and breakfast spot in Malala. But they just opened. It was like a fruit stand right next to where I live in Malino, but they just finished renovating it and they turned it into a new brick and mortar spot
Like a
for
walk-in.
breakfast. Like a
Yeah.
cafe, and yeah, and it's really sweet. So
Cool.
it'd be fun to see more people
Shout
go
out to
there.
them. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. What's the best place for if people are real interested in going to a meeting, joining the party, all that stuff? What's the best place? Just the website?
Yeah, so they should sign up for our newsletter, and or register as Libertarian, and or become a regular dues paying member and be involved with us at least a little bit, and go to lpooregon.org.
Okay.
And you can reach out to me, which is chair at lpooregon.org. And go to Multnomah County Libertarian meeting. We're starting up our county affiliates again.
Okay.
So anyone who starts as a Libertarian and wants to start meeting with people in their county, and then they bring those 5 of those people with them, or anyone with them, to from anywhere, not just that county, to our business convention, can get a seat on our executive committee.
Okay. That's
So,
cool.
yeah.
Yeah. Good to know.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I think I said at the top of the episode, but I typically go to the Multnomah meetings, and I've just found that it's one of the most like welcoming places. Everyone's
Aw.
super friendly, and the last meeting we went to was packed. It was like the biggest one I've ever been to, and so it's cool to see people are turning out, and everyone kind of has the same story of like, I'm not like crazy enough for like the right or the left, and I just feel like this is like a home for me. So
Right.
I just find they're embracing people like from everywhere, and I just think it's cool to see. So yeah, go to the meeting if you guys are interested.
Definitely.
And yeah, thanks for coming. We'll have to do this again. You're always welcome back. Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome.